before we do this and look at the branded deck, I wanted to talk about something because the Teller Knight combo we just watched kind of reminded me of that. And that's actually something I'm a little bit concerned about, is that you guys know we've been talking about how like the game is getting faster and faster and there's not really any like mid-rangey / slow strategies anymore. And I felt like they needed to do something about that. You guys remember that talk, I hope. You were here, but I guess that summarizes it for all of you that weren't here. It's like, obviously, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has an issue with everything getting faster and faster and faster, and certain decks that are designed to be slower are not able to keep up without the use of, for example, floodgates, right? That's something that we can probably all wrap our head around, of the concept of that these types of decks, you know, are... And I think that's sad, because there's a lot of people that like to play a slower game without having to floodgate your opponent. I'm personally one of those people. I would like to play a deck that tries to play for the long game without actually doing like floodgate stuff, right? We live in a society where dealing is the mid-range. Yeah, exactly. The only difference between mid-range and combo in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, I think, is that when a combo deck pops off, your opponent is basically immediately supposed to scoop. Whereas with a mid-range strategy, when you pop off, you make a board, your opponent kind of breaks it, but you still kind of kill them on turn 3 with your follow-up, right? So the only difference is that with a full combo, your opponent immediately loses on basically your turn 1 / their first turn, which is turn 2. But with mid-range, you still need to do some work on turn 3, right? Right? So I think that's... It's kind of sad to think about it, right? Like, and that's... The thing is, there's two different things here. The one thing is that it's still a good game, right? It's still a good game, but I think it's sad that we're losing all those different ways of playing the game, right? We don't really have any of that. We don't really have any control mid-range combo style anymore. It's really just all a mash of every deck is trying in its own way to win the game starting from turn 1, right? The reason why I'm starting to say all of this, the reason why I'm saying all of this right now, the reason why I'm thinking of this right now is because I don't like that they are turning decks that used to be slow, like Teller Knights, or also another deck that we're going to look at in a second, like Altergeist. They are turning those decks into combo piles now, right? They're not actually worried about making good slow decks or slowing the game down. They are just making those decks from back in the day just faster as well, which is not the direction I wanted to go with if I was a like, you know, Teller Knight, Trap Tricks, Altergeist. There's countless examples of this. Of course, I want to be able to keep up with the meta, but at the same time, I'm not really looking to make my deck that I like because it's a control deck into a combo deck, right? If I like the combo deck, then I would play a combo deck, right? I think this is also the reason why I evaluated the Altergeist cards as badly as I did, right? When the Altergeist cards dropped, I said, I don't like these cards because they don't help Altergeist with what the deck is trying to do. And then like a day later or something, people came into my chat and they were like, hey, you were wrong. The Altergeist cards are actually pretty good. Look at, like, Pac made some combo video about Altergeist, and I looked at the combo video already, but we can still talk about it if you want to. The thing is, they basically made Altergeist completely lose its identity. I'll show you why. I'll show you what I mean by this, and I'll tell you why I don't like it. Pac is trying to be lithium so bad. Did you hear that? Hold up, let me go look.
So, yo, what's up, guys? So, if you guys haven't already heard, Altergeist finally got announced some new support. I'm super excited for this. I'm a huge fan of Altergeist. It actually was the deck that allowed me to make my debut onto the, you know what I'm saying, pro Yu-Gi-Oh scene, as many people would call it. So let's read the new cards, and afterwards let's come up with some combos, some deck lists, and why I think this sport is actually really, really good. So let's start off with the new Ultrageist monster.
Thank you for the 3 months.
Ultrageist Malbus. It's actually a tuner monster. It's level 3 light. And whenever it's added to your hand, except by drawing, you can summon it for free. And when it's no more special, you can target an Ultrageist monster in your graveyard and reborn it, except itself. And it's unable to activate this effect this turn. This effect is actually broken because, unlike Faker, this card doesn't lock you. And it's also really, really insane because it's a tuner, so it allows you to go from some really cool synchro plays. You can make Arcanite Musician. You can make the Ultrageist Synchro. You can even make Arclight. So I'm gonna be showing you guys a bunch of combos with this new card pretty soon. Then you have Ultrageist Penetrator. It can attack.
With the direction the game is going, I'm actually kind of starting to want rotation. It's like they are trying to make every deck auto win turn 1. See, this is how we come full circle. This is where we come full circle and people actually start changing their mind on it. I don't think we need to talk about rotation again right now. I don't think rotation is the only possible answer to this. I think there would be other ways to do it too. But what's definitely not the way is just making even more and 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 more decks that just make a sick turn 1 board, dude. We don't need that.
Attack directly. When it deals battle damage like Meluseek, it draws you a free card. And when it's sent from field to grave, you can send any Ultrageist
Legacy support that makes old decks just combo piles is so sleep. Yeah, exactly.
Not as broken as Meluseek, unfortunately, but still very good. And then we have the new Link 4. This card is insane. It requires 2 Blood Ultrageist monsters as a Link 4 Dark Spellcasters, 3000 attack. And when it's Link summoned, you can set any Ultrageist trap directly from your deck. And once while it's face up on the field, it's a quick effect during the main phase to send a card you control to the graveyard to target an effect monster your opponent controls and take control of it. And it becomes treated as an Altergeist monster.
See, when I saw this card for the first time, I was like, this card sucks because it's win more. Because whenever Altergeist gets to make a Link 4, they've already won the game. Turns out, I was wrong in the sense that you make this shit turn 1 now. Because your Altergeist deck now apparently like loses to Nibiru as well, because they made it that way, which is something that was not even possible when Altergeist was actually a meta deck. Like Altergeist was actually not capable of playing into Nibiru. It was not possible.
That's ridiculous. It's literally a snatch steal, and becomes treated as an Altergeist monster, so that like if you take your opponent's monster and it points to a Hexia, Hexia contribute that monster that it stole to negate. So just busted, literally just busted. And then we have Altergeist Revitalization. It allows you to reborn any Altergeist Link monster in your graveyard, and you can banish it from your graveyard to immediately normal summon an Altergeist monster, allowing you to normal summon twice. So pretty good cards. Now let's take a look at some of the combos that I was able to make actually live on Twitch. So if you haven't already, go to twitch.tv/PackTZG to you know, watch me on these lonely nights whenever you guys want to see some combos and then me cook the goo. So now let me show you guys some of the combos that we were able to cook. All right, so combo number 1. So this hand is when you open the new Penetrator plus Pukari, and what you can do, you see I opened 3 hand traps with this, pretty lucky. You're actually gonna link summon into Hex.
If an Altergeist monster would be used as Link, you can use this card as from your hand as Link material. Okay.
And then trigger Pukari and the Penetrator to send.
Don't call it Penetrator, Pack. Jesus. Why'd you call it Penetrator? Stop. I was okay with Cyber Axis. No, what is it? What was it? Cybernetic Axis Storm. Cybernetic Axis Storm I could forgive you for, but stop calling it Altergeist Penetrator. Jesus Christ, no.
Any Altergeist card, you're going to be sending the new one, Revitalization, which allows you to double normal summon by banishing it from the graveyard. And here, you're going to relink into a Prime Banshee. Hexia will then trigger to add any Altergeist card from your deck to hand. You're going to add the new Malwis card. You're going to trigger Malwis effect when it's added to summon itself from the hand, then use its effect to reborn. And here, we're going to use Prime Banshee's effect to tribute the level 1 to trigger Faker. So Faker summons a Marionetter from your deck. Then you can... I actually low-key chatted. You're not able to actually use Marionetter here because... Wait, am I? No, you can. Yeah. So you use Marionetter's effect, target itself, bring back Hexia.
I low-key chatted.
But monsters that are summoned off Molwith can't use this effect. But I summoned Marionetter off of Faker, so that's fine. Then we're going to actually overlay Link summon into an Adminia. And then use Adminia effect and Prime Banshee.
Is Altergeist Penetrator how you get Vernusyphilis? Yeah, actually, that might be the way. That might be the way in PAX Universe how you acquire Venusyphilis.
She's effect to add back Faker back to your hand and then set a Altergeist card. So you'll be setting Protocol. And now this is your end board. You have Altergeist.
You see what I'm saying, right? You see what I'm saying? This is not Altergeist. The cards say Altergeist, but you're not playing Altergeist anymore.
Protocol with Hexia, Adminia, Impermanence. So, like, really, really good end board here. You can Adminia, send the Mulwis, take one of the card, Hexia, tribute this card, negate. You have Protocol, send Hexia, negate. You can trigger Faker.
On the other hand, also, the freaking funniest thing is that the board is probably beatable if you don't draw those 3 hand traps next to it. It's good, but it's not like GG's, right? I think it's not even going to work out for them, right? Because all of those decks that they kind of try to turn into combo decks, they're still going to be worse than actual combo decks, right? Like this Geist deck is never going to be top tier, right? Because while this is impressive, in 2023, this is not what other decks do more than that with 2 cards even, right? Other decks are better at comboing. Altergeist, you cannot make Altergeist into an actual combo deck like without making it either completely busted or other decks are gonna do more, right? Look, Super Heavy Samurai does more with 1 card. Cash Tira 2-card combo is better than this. Like it's not actually gonna work out, right? They're not actually gonna make Altergeist a good deck. All they're doing is completely change its identity, and people might not even like it. And people that liked Altergeist beforehand might not like this style of deck. And it's not even going to be viable, right? It's not even going to do much, right? Just like the Trap Tricks deal, kind of, right? Trap Tricks is a good budget option, but it's not actually a top tier deck. It's like a good budget option that you can get into the game with, but it's trying to make a trap deck something that it is not, right?
Imperm, like, it's just like so many interruptions, okay? So that's the first 2-card combo.
It's a good locals deck, yeah. And I don't think this is more than that either. And I don't know if that's what you want. If you're an Altergeist fan, like, would you actually get... I think Altergeist fans would probably prefer a way to actually make Altergeist viable in a way that does not give up the identity of the deck, right? I think the people that like Altergeist liked it because of how it played, right? And it does not play like this anymore. I love Altergeist and I hate this. See, like, see, I think that's how most people that enjoyed Altergeist actually feel like. And I am in the same boat. I liked Altergeist back then. If you don't take into account the floodgates, as always, I actually really like trap decks without the floodgates. I like Altergeist. I thought it was a cool, grindy deck. But that's not what that is, right? This does not feel like Altergeist to me. That's just like another combo pile. And I didn't ask for that. No one asked for that. Odin Tavers, thank you for the 6 months. Welcome back.
Okay, so this is going to be combo number 2. So I already opened the hand already, but I'm just going to make it easier. So this is a 3-card combo. So you open Marionetter plus Faker Silk. So what do you do here? So you go Haunted Rock. Haunted Rock effect. We're going to trigger Faker. Faker effect, summon itself. Summon Meluseek. Link into Hexia. Trigger the Meluseek effect to search a Mulwis. Mulwis effect to reborn back the Siliquist. We're going to link summon off the Hexia away. Search another Marionetter. Prime Banshee effect is going to tribute the Mulwis. Summon the Penetrator. We're going to link summon into Hexia.
He's not even trying anymore. He's not even trying at this point. You're just calling it Penetrator on purpose.
We're going to trigger both Penetrator and trigger the, what do you call it, right here. The effect of Revitalization to normal summon Marionetter again. We're then going to set Protocol. We're going to send the Haunted Rock, bring back another Hexia, and then make Adminia, and then trigger the effect of Prime Banshee Winds into the graveyard to add back Faker. Okay, so your end board is like double Hexia, Protocol, Adminia, Faker, which is absolutely insane. And you also end on Manifestation because Adminia.
The thing is, this is a busted end board, but this was a 3-card combo. That is not good for like 2023 Yu-Gi-Oh! This is not Altergeist. just some random combo pile, and it's not even gonna be good. You're not gonna play this. I'm not putting Altergeist Haunted Rock in my deck to pull off 3-card combos like this. I'm just gonna play any other deck. I can play any deck in existence to make a 3-card combo happen that wins the game.
Will set a Altergeist trap directly from your deck. So you end on like, this is like so many interruptions. Double Hexia, third Hexia potentially with the multi-faker. Protocol to negate any monster effect, and minion to snatch your opponent's cards. Just insane. Let's look at combo number 3. Alright, so for combo number 3, we're going to open Marionetter plus Faker. So you're going to go Marionetter, set Haunted Rock.
Bro, Marionetter plus Faker was such a beautiful opening back then, but it went Marionetter and pass.
Use Haunted Rock, send Faker. Faker effect allows you to summon Meluseek. And we're going to be adding off of Meluseek the new Altergeist monster. That's why this card is absolutely insane. Because it made it so that the deck switches from more of a mid-range deck to more like, it's no longer a control deck almost. It's like a mid-range strategy now.
That's not good.
Like how Trap Trick evolved after he got the support from the structure decks.
We didn't want this.
Yeah, I think this is like really cool to like show you guys.
I think they're misinterpreting what we want in this case. Or like I'm not, of course I'm not speaking for everyone in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, but I feel like a lot of people, when they say, hey, my Altergeist deck, Konami, can you please fix it? My Altergeist deck cannot keep up with the meta. The meta is just too fast for me. I think no one asked for, you know, please turn my Altergeist deck into a combo pile, Konami. You know what I mean? I don't think that's what people want. Because if I want to do 2 and 3 card combos to end on 4 negates, I already have like a billion options.
Guys off like what the new combos allows you to do. Then we're gonna use Melwiz to bring back the Meluseek. We're gonna link this off into a Prime Banshee. We're gonna trigger the effect of Hexia to add Marionetter for follow-up. Use the effect to summon Penetrator. Then you go Penetrator's effect.
Oh, this time you now it's Penetrator. Okay.
You double normal Marionetter. Marionetter is actually not once per turn on its normal summon effect, so you can normal it again, trigger it, set Protocol, and then here we're gonna make the link 4. Prime Banshee has back Faker. The link 4 sets Manifestation, and you end on literally 2-card combo. Mario Faker ends on, you know what I'm saying, double Hexia, because you mani back another Hexia. You can Hex attribute this, doesn't matter. You have Protocol Faker, like this is like 5-6 interrupts, just off 2-card combo.
Yeah, this is not bad. This is not bad, but this is also not Altergeist, which is kind of the point of why I wanted to show this. I don't like this. I don't like this. I think this, first of all, like I said earlier, it makes these decks lose their identity. Second of all, it does not fix the problems of these decks. Because the problem of trap decks in modern Yu-Gi-Oh is not that their turn 1 board is not strong enough. Because if Altergeist goes first, the deck is fine. You don't care about your end board when you go first. You are okay when you go first. You are in trouble when you go second. And none of this matters when you go second. When you play this Altergeist deck going second, it's still gonna suck ass. Because yeah, you might draw your 2-card combo, but you're also very often gonna draw Haunted Rock, Protocol, Manifestation, multiple monsters. Like, you're still losing going second. You're not resolving any of that. Right? When you play Altergeist going second, you still imperm activate Faker. You know what? You know what's funny? First of all, you're almost never gonna have that, and second of all, you probably still lose in 2023. If you have imperm Faker, it's not that good anymore. Like, imperm Faker was good in 2018. That's 5 years ago. 5 years ago, imperm Faker was like good. 2023 imperm Faker probably doesn't win you any games anymore. So it completely misses the point, I think, of what they need to do with Yu-Gi-Oh and with like mid-range / trap decks, because people are like complaining that their decks can't keep up anymore with combo decks. They're like, hey, my mid-range or my control deck cannot keep up with combo decks anymore. Konami, please help. And Konami's like, yeah, I got you. Now everything's a combo deck. How about that? And I personally did not ask for that. That is not what I want. But it is what it is, I suppose. How to fix control decks then? See, the thing is, there's multiple ways you can do it. But essentially, you need to make the game slower. Very simply. You need to force the game to be a little bit slower. I don't know how you exactly do that. There's multiple ways you can. You can basically make... we've talked about set rotation before, but that I think is something that will never happen. You could have more aggressive ban list designs where you really hit some of the stuff that's gotten out of hand. And I'm not talking just the meta decks. I'm talking about also stuff that becomes meta if we hit the meta. Like, we need to significantly lower the power level of the first turn. You could have a new master rule that limits what you can do on the first turn. Right? That is something that could happen. You can also design decks that force people to play slow, right? Like, one example, I think one great example, once again, there's going to be like 50% in chat that are not going to like what I'm saying right now. But one great example of this was Sky Striker. When they originally designed Sky Striker, it was one of the most beautiful concepts I had seen in a long time at making the game slower, because the fact that you simply could not control monsters in your main monster zone meant that the deck had to play slow. Sky Striker, until Halka Fibrax access code stupid stuff, until then, Sky Striker simply had no choice but to play slow games. It could not be fast, right? And it was beautiful. It was Sky Striker control games were so cool. So basically what you can do is you can make a really powerful deck, but simply give it restrictions so that it cannot like do incredible combos on turn one. It's hard to design such a deck. It is hard to design such a deck, but I think it's possible. And like by introducing decks like that into the metagame, right? You force the others to play slower as well, right? Because if I have a deck that is super, super powerful, but plays a very slow game, then the other decks also have to kind of prepare to go in a grindier game, right? Like Sky Striker being in the format in 2019 and 2018 made everyone else kind of like consider like, hey, what do I do if I play against Sky Striker and it kind of gets to this grindy spot? And that was great. I think that was great. I think when Sky Striker first released, before they made it like more and more combo and floodgate heavy, I think Sky Striker was hella based. But yeah, I think there's multiple ways you can do it. I think there's multiple ways that you can do it. And they are currently not looking like they're trying any of it. Like they didn't give us a new master rule, which that was on the table, I suppose. When was that? When we would usually get it? When they announced the new anime, right? The one with Playmaker. When they announced that, that was usually the time where we could have gotten a new master rule, but they chose not to. How about Runic? That's basically Sky Striker 2.0. Runic is close. Runic is also a very beautiful design. The problem with Runic is that they made two mistakes with Runic, I think. They made two mistakes with Runic. The first mistake that they made, or three rather, they made three mistakes with Runic. The first mistake with Runic is that they made them not very restrictive, so they can be paired with a lot of other decks in the game, and just be like extenders, right, for all kinds of strategies. I think that was a mistake, even though I've been using decks like that, but like only because they're good. But I think that was not what they intended to do with the deck. The second mistake they made was they made it far too synergistic with floodgates, which is something they should not have done. And the third mistake was that they made the deck not powerful enough on its own. And if you do all these three things correctly, we might have Runic as its own standalone deck, like pure Runic, but without floodgates. And that could actually be a very interesting deck. If they made the Runic cards a little bit stronger, but they somehow removed the synergy with floodgates, you know, like maybe something like you can only activate the fountain draw effect if you don't control any cards that aren't Runic cards, for example. That would have been a very interesting thing that I just thought of that. Like make fountain in a way where you can only draw with fountain if you have no cards on the field that are not Runics. And then we lose all the synergy with other archetypes. We lose all the synergy with floodgates because we can't even have a face-up skill drain or something, right? And then you can make the Runic quick play spells even stronger so that a pure Runic deck actually works. And then maybe if we do all that in freaking 2023, maybe you can actually play a deck where its goal is to deck out your opponent, but not by like floodgating them, but by actually, you know, like dealing with all their threats, right? Individually. And I think that'd be dope. I think that's something that would be incredibly dope. You guys remember how much I coped on that when Runic initially came out? Like the first thing I played was pure freaking Runics, and there was no floodgate in my Runic deck. Because sometimes I like to cope a little bit. Sometimes I like to play the decks that I just want to be good, but they end up not actually being good, of course. But that was my first initial thought when I saw Runics, was like, yeah, this could actually be cool because it could actually be a way to play a control / deck out strategy in 2023. Of course, it turns out that the more degenerate ways to play Runic are, of course, better. But I think that's just a design flaw. I think that was their idea. I think their idea was, hey, we're making a slow deck that's actually good enough. But they just didn't. They just kind of failed in the execution, right? I think Vanquish Soul was a good attempt to make a grindy deck in 2023. I agree with you. I agree with you there. I think Vanquish Soul is also a very, very cool design. Doesn't that count for a lot of other cards? Stuff is too generic. Look at Axis Code, Boral Savage, Boral Sword, maybe more archetype restrictive effects and summons. Yes, absolutely, it does. I think Yu-Gi-Oh is running into a lot of specific problems that are very unique to Yu-Gi-Oh that other games don't really have. Because we have no rotation, and because we just have we have basically no restrictions to how you put cards together in a deck, right? Like, if you look at other card games, there's like rules that apply to deck building. Like, for example, in Magic, you can't put all the best cards into one deck because then you need the color to activate them and whatnot. Yu-Gi-Oh basically has to be very careful to not make the cards too synergistic, because then you can just slap all the good cards into one deck, because there's no restriction like, hey, in Yu-Gi-Oh you can only play like cards with the same attribute or something. We don't have that, right? We have none of that. Pokemon has the same thing, right? In Pokemon, you can only play so many different energy cards to use your different types of Pokemon, right? You can't just slam all the best into one deck. And Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have that. Yu-Gi-Oh does not have that. You can just put all the best cards into one deck if it works, right? You basically, everything is always available to you, which is, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that they need to be very careful when designing cards. And as a result of that, sometimes they fail, because that's very normal. Like, I would not want to be I would want to be a card designer for Yu-Gi-Oh, but at the same time, it's also really, really stressful, I can imagine, to think about like all the different implications of like how a card could potentially be abused when you create it, because you have to take like, what is it at this point, 11,000 other cards into account. And as a result, they end up sometimes they are too careless, right? Sometimes they make a card that just is like, you know, we complain about, right? And then very, very, very often they are also too careful and end up making cards that are just not good, right? Because it's very hard to design a card that hits exactly that sweet spot but between like, this card is too powerful because it synergizes with freaking Koala from 2004. Suddenly, that's the Koala FTK right there with like 99.9% consistency and plays through 4 hand traps. Or you make the card slightly too restrictive, and then all of a sudden it's unplayable, right? It's not very easy, I think. What do you think about the ban list variation we have in Duel Links and Speed Duel? As in, instead of limiting cards to 0, 1, or 2, they limit how many copies of cards from each list you can play in a deck. As in, 1 card from limited 1, 2 from limited 2, etc. I'm familiar with the concept. I think it would be interesting. I don't know if it would be better. I do not know if it would be better, but it would definitely be interesting. I don't think it would be bad. If you design the... I think that the problem with all of this is that you can do all of those things and they could all be fine or not fine if you do it either correctly or incorrectly, right? Like you can execute rotation really well. You can execute a ban list system really well. You can execute the Duel Links ban list system really well. You can do all of that. It's just, no matter what you do, you need to do it properly, right? You need to do it well. If you design cards perfectly, if you have the right mindset when making a ban list or making a rotation or whatever, you can all do it fine. It all depends on how they do it, not what they do, I think. All I'm asking is ban list dates back. I think the only problem I have with the ban list generally is that it's usually too late when they make it. Like they typically, in my opinion, in recent years, and this has not always been the case, but in recent years, I feel like this has been particularly present, is that they hit cards way too late when they're basically already not a problem anymore, right? Sub goal angle, I've seen. You'll get your PPDs. Just let me finish this talk because I don't want to disrupt it with a remix right now. I think now I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying before I responded to that comment? Oh yeah, ban list being too late. Yes. I think they've had this syndrome in the last couple years where they've always, like, we are screaming at them to do something about problem cards in the format. And basically when they do it is right at the end of the format, when like the new format is upon us, and they banned the problem cards from last format, right? I think perfect examples of this are Artifact Scythe, Mystic Mine, what else? Curious, all those types of cards. And the thing is, what I don't understand is the only argument I always hear is that Halka-Fibrax, Snow, Chaos Ruler, you name it. The argument I always hear is, yeah, well, they need to make money. They need to sell cards. But the thing is, if you really think about it, I don't think that matters. I don't think Curious being legal really contributed to the success of Tearlament in a great way. We would have still bought the heck out of Tearlaments and Sprites. We would have played those decks into infinity, even if those cards were already banned. I don't care if Curious is legal. Like, Tearlament was going to be a good deck regardless. I don't need Snow to have success with Tearlaments. Those decks were good enough regardless. If anything, you're hurting, I think, some of these sales because people don't like the deck because it plays like some cards like that. I don't know.